When you're ready, go ahead, grab that ball. Let's see your epic try. 3, 2, 1. Here he goes. Can he beat this celebration? By the feet, by the run.
We got 2 hours.
Right? Those last 30 seconds, we've got to be consistent. We've got to keep possession. All we need to do is put it out there, and unfortunately, we gave up one the other way. We're still in good shape. We've got a good wind at our back, right? We don't need to play any rugby in our half of the field. We can get down here. Mistakes will happen on their end, right? Keep putting defensive pressure on them. They're fine. We're keeping our composure. We got good stuff.
We're doing everything perfect. Everybody's playing within themselves, which is great. Just got to keep that up.
It's 7 minutes, boys. It's another 7 minutes. It's not 6.5. It's 7. You got an opportunity to go prove that we're better than what we've shown. Let's go. Finish your job. Finish your job.
They're cutting back in the middle of the field, right?
The 3-4 has to come together. Let's go, boys. All they're doing is those cutbacks. All right, fuck them out. 3, 1, 2, 3. Fuck them out. So our 3-4's got.
Here in Philadelphia, our players were treated a Subway breakfast sandwiches this morning. Avocado season is back at Subway. Add rich, creamy avocado to any sub or salad. And try it on your favorite breakfast sandwich. Subway. Eat fresh.
Subway, where winners eat.
Go Irish.
Yeah, Byron. Go Irish. Go Irish, baby.
Irish.
It's 7 minutes, boys. It's another 7 minutes. It's not 6.5. It's 7. You got an opportunity to go prove that we're better than what we've shown. Let's go. Finish your job. Finish your job.
They're cutting back in the middle of the field, right?
The 3-4 has to come together. Let's go, boys. All they're doing is those cutbacks. All right, fuck them out. 3, 1, 2, 3. Fuck them out. So our 3-4's got to keep pushing, right? 3-4's.
Head coach David Fee of Notre Dame, with his mouth not full of a Subway breakfast sandwich, telling his players exactly what they need to hear. They trail right now by 1. You agree with what he said to his kids?
No.
Yeah, I think so. You know, when you're falling for the cutback, it means that your defensive shape is really disintegrating, and that means the next player over isn't doing his job coming across to take the cutback.
So that ball kicked into touch as we come up on the final 6:20 of this matchup. A tight one. St. Joe Hawks leading the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame 15-14.
Coach Fee had mentioned in that huddle that, you know, they have an opportunity to show that they're better than what they've shown so far, and they've played some good rugby. It's just, you know, quality of opposition is pretty good in this pool, and they're having a hard time in the second half finishing the game off.
Tyler Gerber stopped just short of the line. Joe Wolfer tries to punch it across. He doesn't get it done. Great goal line stand by the Irish. How about this?
Yeah, this is, I tell you what, you're on the ground right now. Tyler Plants, he learned that from his days of playing football for Notre Dame.
Quick restart, and this time looks like Degnan, Adam Degman, able to punch it across for St. Joe's.
Well, they're working a tight channel, and they're just really trying to out-muscle Notre Dame. That's the second time we've seen Degnan just go the straight approach.
Away 4.
Penalty, it looked like high tackle was the call. Jimmy Wolfer adds 2.
So the conversion up and good by Wolfer. It's now 22-14. Hawks on top of the Irish. Head coach David Yarusso looking on that one. Happy with his boys and their performance as we check in now with Marty.
Funny story about Adam Degnan. Vince Papale, the real-life subject of the movie Invincible, about a local Philly boy who made the Eagles, actually came to give the team a motivational speech at the beginning of the season. Vince actually went to St. Joe's on a track scholarship, so they all got fired up at the beginning of the season. He told them to play with heart, represent Philadelphia very well. But Adam got all excited because he thought actually Mark Wahlberg was coming, not the actual Vince Papale was coming. Mark Wahlberg who played him in the movie. He says a little disappointed when Vince showed up, but he certainly gave us a very great speech.
You know, he wanted to be part of the entourage. That's what he was looking for, get on that entourage cast.
Mark, dangerous.
So Irish really have to regroup now. Coming up on 4 minutes to play in this one. They trail it now by 8.
Nice fend there by Hickey. Plants.
You hear the call for the maul as St. Joe's holding up the ball runner up, not letting the ball go to the ground. Here it is one more time.
Look at the stiff arm there. Great job by Tom Hickey working on Joe Wolfer's face.
Brian Kelly's got a little something to work with here. He's been watching these rugby lads.
Plants is a pretty good body out there, built like a stump.
Sorry, sir. Stop it. Coach!
Jimmy Wolfer not happy, maybe getting a little action from his opposite number there.
Too long, too long. Run backwards. Keep running, keep running.
Opportunity missed now for St. Joe's.
Yeah,
keep running, keep running.
Quick restart. Notre Dame trying anything as Byron Henry trying to get the offense up and running.
Henry in his first game yesterday really doing a much better job of kind of marshaling the troops from the back and really finding space, using his swerve, really nice sidestep, some vision. Just hasn't had the opportunity.
Keep your foot back to the balls in. Coach!
St. Joe's doing a pretty good job of taking away the space for Notre Dame. So that you can see the frustration the way that they're playing.
Run backwards. Penalty advantage black, advantage gained.
Weaving their way up the field, the Hawks looking to put this one away with another try. Nice offload on the outside, man in support.
That's a great finish by Tyler Gerber for St. Joe's. Really well-worked try here. Gerber starts it, a nice backhanded flip out to Joe Wolfer. And watch Wolfer go to work, keeps his poise. McTiernan takes over and takes 2 defenders. Really stretches out.
So Gerber, the junior from Medford, New Jersey, running in support and is rewarded. Puts 5 on, plus the 2-point conversion. And now it's St. Joe's starting to run away with this one as we go into a minute 45 to play, 29-14. Good things happen when you keep running, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and some good support. And, you know, there's a part of the game, and no one would admit to this, and it's really hard to quantify, but that piece of the game where you just want it more than the other team does, and that's the way St. Joe's is playing right now. And maybe it's because they're so close to home, but Notre Dame's just not really focusing.
And a yellow card's going to come out.
Degnan, I think guilty of maybe trying to take Hickey out in the air.
So Degnan is off to the sin bin. It'll be a 7-on-6 advantage for the Irish. Great opportunity for them to make something happen here as they trail 29-14 as we come up on a minute to go.
Tackle out.
Notre Dame devoting a lot of resources to their rugby program, this 7s competition, and they'll be disappointed to go 0-3.
Sean O'Leary can't get there. Let's go back and look at that yellow card that started this whole situation on the restart, and Degnan just not playing the ball.
Yeah, it wasn't even looking for it.
Turn around. Verification. This is
if he looks back for the ball, and if he goes up and actually tries to play the ball, then he's fine. But and there's another yellow card, and this is for a late hit on Byron Henry.
Well, Henry is still down.
Step back.
Henry on that chip kick that O'Leary couldn't chase down gets hit a little bit late, and so now you got a two-man advantage.
Jimmy Wolfer and Adam Degnan. Let's look at it one more time. Here's Henry with the ball.
You know, that's, I don't agree with that. I think Wolfer is really, he's already made the motion. Kind of hard to pull that one back. Little unfortunate for Wolfer. St. Joe's is going to go on to win this game.
Hold on.
Boy, and if Notre Dame can't stand
Hold.
and score here.
We got subs sorted in.
So while they make substitutions, we'll check in on the field with Marty Snyder.
Well, Byron Henry, Todd, is a guy who has dealt with a lot of injuries. He's torn his ACL twice, broken his left shoulder blade twice, torn his left hamstring this year, but he said by far the worst injury, he dislocated his hip. He said it took him 2 morphine shots on the field just to get up. As the try right there for Notre Dame. 3 more at the hospital before they could pop it back in. The young man knows how to fight through injuries. Notre Dame trying to fight back in this match, Todd.
Byron Henry, certainly a leader, co-captain and club president for Notre Dame. And right now, Richard Kessler draws this one a little closer. So 7 more points with the conversion good. You look at the clock with 18 seconds. They're down by 8. And that's really the magic number because a try and a conversion doesn't get him in.
Yeah, not going to help him out, but it helps with point differential. Every point counts in this tournament. Goes to placing for the next round. Tomorrow you're going to see the cup round. That's the top 8 teams. But there's also other competitions, the plate and the bowl, still to contend for.
Stay 7.
Ball just taken away by the Irish. They're going to make this thing interesting if they can punch it in here.
Leave him 2. Leave him.
Hickey with something to say. Looked like a high tackle by St. Joe's. But ball knocked forward, and that's the way it's going to end for Notre Dame.
So the clock goes to 0, and it's St. Joe's outdistancing themselves from the Fighting Irish 29-21. A strong performance by the Hawks in front of the local fans. Coming up next, we'll have Penn taking on Virginia Tech as the CRC rolls on. I like rugby stars. Yeah. You're lying. I'm going to build a big border right here, a wall of China. Because I have a feeling if I let Hightower, he would be right here. By the end of the day, I'd be like this.
Michael Hendricks.
Be right here. We talk about the transition from rugby to football, football to rugby. Some of the big names, past and present. Roger Staubach, Pete Dawkins, Randy Cross. How'd you like to tackle him in a game of sevens? Steve Tasker, the 7-time Pro Bowl selection wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills, just to name a few. So we get set for our next matchup here at the CRC. It'll be Virginia Tech taking on Penn. As we mentioned earlier, 6 teams from Pennsylvania making the field of 20 here, and a lot of great support, especially the teams like Kutztown, Penn, and Temple.
Penn, one of those programs that's really improved rapidly under the guidance of Omar Foda, the former Dartmouth alumni, played for Alex Magleby, came down to Pennsylvania and is working with the Penn rugby team. Meanwhile, Virginia Tech, really the surprise of the tournament, considering their performance last year. And these are one of the teams that started working in January, and they just took the sevens team and said, you know what, we're not going to play any more 15s, we're just going to play sevens. And it's paid off. Yesterday, they really rolled Arizona in a surprise match to open this tournament.
Shut Arizona out, and here are the Hokies with a great start. Michael Serby takes it in. Not even 30 seconds into the match, and Virginia Tech is on the board.
One of the things that Virginia Tech was doing yesterday when you watched them is just a lot of support. Some of the tries that aren't scored on the field this weekend is because somebody does something excellent on the field but doesn't have anybody running behind him. And Virginia Tech really running some great support. Check out Serby, just a great finish, and dices up 3 defenders here.
Andrew Haskell doing a lot of the heavy lifting there, setting up Serby out on the wing. Here comes Penn.
Penn's got a chance to put the Hokies on the ground in that last scoring drive.
Tackled into touch. A nice piece of running there by Joey Grosso.
Was that touched?
It's kind of one of those unforgivables in rugby. If you're running on the touch line and you get tackled into touch, you got to have the presence of mind, and sometimes it comes with experience. There's some young players here in this tournament. You got to stop yourself sometimes. Just actually turn on a dime, stop worrying about getting downfield, and get the ball into the hands of somebody running behind you.
So here's the scrum for Virginia Tech.
Bind. Set.
Perfectly executed by the Hokies. Big mistake there as they let their fast man for Virginia Tech, Sam Donahue, get on the outside wing, knowing they're covering.
Offside. There's your mark. Go ahead.
Penn called for the offside. Quick reset for
release
Virginia
that
Tech.
ball next time, 10. Advantage white, 6 offside.
Boy, they're just running right up the middle. Tackle not made. And Sam Donahue able to punch it across for another try.
Go ahead and get that ball. Hey, ball in, ball in.
Well, they lost to life earlier today, but
hey, release that ball next time, 10.
If Virginia Tech goes well here, puts some points on the board, they're going to be one of those 2-1 teams that finishes pool play with a really nice point differential spread.
Go ahead and get that ball.
It has a great chance to go into that cup round.
Hey, ball in, ball in.
Talk about Pool E being Arizona and Life, 2 teams we thought would probably just get through this first 3 games no problem, but Arizona 29-point shutout at the hands of the Hokies. Life looking good so far, and of course Penn having some struggles, getting beaten up a little bit early on in this tournament. So the Quakers trying to answer back in the red and blue, getting it deep to the outside, and that's Joey Grosso. Billy Barron now with the ball.
And there, see the illustration there of what happens when you make a break but you don't have anyone supporting you. Billy Barron turns around, doesn't see any more Penn shirts. He's got to eat it, turns the ball over instead.
Matt Murray with the ball.
Advantage red, knock on.
It was a knock on, but they'll play the advantage, and that's to red. And how about number 7, John Colavita? Well, Hokies, though, are doing a great job on defense.
Yeah, Andrew Haskell, really the class of the Hokies team. Great finisher yesterday, had a real breakout game against Arizona.
One more pass, Grosso on the wing.
He's going to get it.
So 5 points. He finally gets it there.
Just barely gets one down.
Michael Minichiello keeping him from applying the downward pressure on the ball. But the try is finally awarded the 5 points.
Yeah, Omar Foto's got to be sweating over that one, because watch, we see Grosso go across the line. Now you got to put downward pressure on it, but you can't do that if you got a body under the ball. He's allowed to make one movement. He rolls over and finally grounds it. He got lucky, actually.
14-5, Virginia Tech on top of the Quakers. This will be a difficult angle on the conversion attempt, and it's pushed well right. Billy Barron unable to find the distance or the right angle. 2:02 to go here in the first half. We've got 7-minute halves in Rugby 7. And it's amazing how this sport, Brian, has grown so much. We talk about it coming back to the Olympics, and we say back because it hasn't been there for some 80-plus years. But Rugby 7s will come back to the Olympics in Rio in 2016. And we've got a lot of great rugby coming up on this network. November 1st. Big game. You talk about the premier club of rugby as the All Blacks make a visit to North America.
Yeah, New Zealand All Blacks on November 1st, and Soldier Field in Chicago, an iconic stadium for really just a once-in-a-lifetime match in the United States.
Advantage over.
So mark your calendar, November 1st, the All Blacks of New Zealand coming to Chicago to take on Team USA. They'll be 1 year out from the World Cup, which you'll also see on NBC. But you get the best program coming to the States, all in preparation of not only the World Cup, but the Olympics in 2016. The question is, how would the All Blacks play at Soldier Field if it's snowing?
Well, it might be one of the advantages that the USA can take from that game. They're going to have their hands full.
Easy.
If you've never seen the All Blacks play, it is something to behold. It's kind of like the dream team of rugby. When they get out there and everything's clicking just right, they are absolute tacticians.
Yeah, one of the most famous All Black centers of all time, Tana Umaga, actually in Philadelphia this weekend. Got a chance to talk to him, and it was a great message he gave the kids during a speech a couple nights ago. And he said, look, the All Blacks don't do anything magical. We just do the basic skills so many times that we can do them in our sleep, under pressure, when we're tired, and that's really what sets them apart from all the other teams in the world.
Step forward. Crouch. Bind. Set.
Scrum to the Hokies. Under 5 seconds to go. They have the lead, 14-5. So an opportunity here for Penn if they can do something with this, but a nice piece of coverage by Virginia Tech.
Red. Penalty advantage.
Playing the advantage, they'll kick it into touch.
Diving down. Keep your feet.
And on the penalty, the ball will stay with Penn and they'll play on.
It might have been him.
It looked like Doug Swift kicked the ball out of bounds just to
kick us the ball.
Be done with this half. Instead, the referee says penalty to you.
Thank you. Your mark's right at the 10.
Referee Brian Zapp, you can hear it. Rugby's such a great game when the mic is on the referee.
Let him run.
Just learn so much by listening to him. And you can hear how the referee talks to the players. Tells them what he wants to see, what they're doing wrong, gives them a chance sometimes.
Virginia Tech kicks it into touch, and that brings the first half to a conclusion. We'll have the second half of Penn and Virginia Tech when we return on NBCSN. Hightower's favorite part of the show.
What do we got?
Rugby 7 dancers.
Oh,
your favorite part, dude. That's the only reason you come here. Why Trey's
trying to learn some moves, man.
That and buying some shoes. You think? I've never looked at it close enough to see if they're the same ones or not. Does MLS have dancers? The Philadelphia Union? I would think it's just the same. That's a story for Marty to chase down. He'd be happy to do that.
That you build, just the camaraderie that comes along with The best part about rugby is the camaraderie and the relationships that you build.
Just the camaraderie that comes along with it.
Camaraderie.
Camaraderie.
Love the camaraderie.
The camaraderie among the team is
the camaraderie that comes around with the sport.
The camaraderie that you have on the field.
I love the camaraderie of rugby.
I love the violence about the sport.
Oh, they're the Sweethearts, dude. Come on. You should know that.
Getting slizzard.
Like a G4? G6.
Like a
I can't afford a G6, so I'm a G4.
Nice.
I'm actually probably like a G1.5, but
you've probably never been slizzard. Just a guess.
Talking about. Back in the day, I used to get slizzard every weekend.
Just cold getting slizzard.
The best part about rugby is the camaraderie and the relationships that you build.
Just the camaraderie that comes along with it.
Camaraderie.
Camaraderie.
Love the camaraderie.
The camaraderie among the team is
the camaraderie that comes around with the sport.
The camaraderie that you have on the field.
I love the camaraderie of rugby.
I love the violence about the sport.
We need it right now.
Everything you have.
7 minutes, boys. Absolutely in it. All right? We gave up an easy one before.
Now we're doing good things. We're letting them hold it too long. We've got to win it back from them. We've got to be a bit more aggressive on defense. We've got time to get up and get in their face when they're catching the ball, and we're not.
Head coaches Omar Foda and Craig Bucher, respectively, for Penn and Virginia Tech. Going back to the lead-in out of commercial, the players talking about the camaraderie, and that's really not something that I would think of the first word when I think of rugby sevens. I think the last word, violence, would have been the one I would have thought of.
I'll tell you what, this sport really can change lives, and these kids in their college experience.
Penalty advantage.
It's just one of the most important memories that you'll have as a college student.
I'm sure you remember a lot of the games you played in at William Mary back in the day.
Absolutely. You know, I'm still, best friends with a lot of those guys from that team, and, I'm 20 years down the road.
(14-5), Virginia Tech on top. 7-minute halves in rugby sevens. No forward passing. And we'll try to educate you along the way until we crown a national champion tomorrow in rugby sevens here on NBC and NBCSN.
Back 10, guys. Back 10 on the AR. On the AR.
Really one try separating these two teams. Credit to Penn for staying in this, and as I mentioned earlier, just one of those teams that's improved in leaps and bounds.
Phew. Right up the middle.
But you got to make
needs to call this young man.
Yeah, you got to make your tackles though, and that's where Penn's been its weakest.
Adam D'Amico able to run it right up the gut for the Hokies.
You got to run one in for me.
And more importantly, ball will come straight out from where the downward pressure was applied for the two-point conversion. But Miko, wow, impressive. Two-point conversion is successful, and that's a 7-point swing now for Virginia Tech.
And part of the skill set you got to have in this game is the tackle area. And a lot of people think the tackling is just something you do when you get in front of the guy with the ball, but there's so many different steps in the skill of tackling. Where to put your feet, where to put your shoulder, where to slide your head.
I think the other part that people don't realize too is you are transitioning constantly from offense to defense. You may be a tackler, and 30 seconds, 20 seconds later, you may be the tacklee. On the restart, Virginia Tech coming up with the ball and into touch.
4 high. Tackle low, red.
So a high tackle called on Keith Wallace, number 4, and the ball stays with Virginia Tech. A couple weeks ago in Salt Lake City, we had the chance to call the Varsity Cup, which was seen right here on NBCSN as Virginia Tech looks to be going in for another try. And the difference between the 7s and the 15s, obviously the numbers on the field, but really a different style of play.
Yeah, the strategy is different. You just don't have as many quality possessions, and so you got to use them all. And then there's so many people on the field. If one person misses a tackle, you're going to have 14 other guys that potentially could slide across. There's a lot more green for people to run into, and a lot more space. And that's what makes 7 so exciting, as we see Another try going in for Virginia Tech.
So this time it's number 5, Andrew Haskell, whose brother's Thomas also on the team. Haskell, we talked about this before, running in support, good things will happen.
Yeah, Haskell, really the top scorer for this Virginia Tech Hokie team. Putting a little more distance from Penn.
So you talk about the quick restart and how fast the second half. Virginia Tech came out extremely hard. Substitution coming. Thomas Haskell now on the field. And you heard Craig Bucher as he sent him on there to replace his brother. Don't let them do anything.
Three and some change, and Penn just needs to start by doing a few things right and combine them in a row. There's one.
Christian Collins now.
There's another.
Space.
Fine, committed. Is he onside?
Oh, really great job by Billy Barron to get that ball into the hands of number 12, Leroy Sabanda.
Now they got the numbers on the outside. Can they get the corner? Forward pass or offsides? So with 2:35 to go in this one, Virginia Tech on top, 28-5. We've got a scrum coming.
Square up, guys. Nice and even. Thank you.
And we'll let you listen into the commands.
Crouch. Bind. Sit.
The other Haskell, Thomas Haskell, having a go. Penalty for off their feet in the ruck.
Thanks, G. Good call.
Tripled up in the tackle area. Great pass by Sabanda. You can see Penn, you know, one of the things that they don't do well is to deal with pressure on defense. Great transition attack, a turnover, and an easy try.
Lewis Huggins, young man out of Round Hill, Virginia. Look at this, ball just sitting on the ground. Pick it up and go, young man.
Yep, Matt Murray starts things out. One of the best mustaches in the tournament by far.
I was waiting for you to make that observation.
There's a few people rocking the stash, but that's quality stuff.
Does that give you style points or strength points, intimidation points?
I think what you're hoping is that your opponent focuses on that for just a brief second, and maybe you can wrong foot them.
Second half, we have 1 minute as the clock stops.
35-5, all Virginia Tech in the second half.
1 minute, let's go. Let's go, win this ball. 1 minute.
Head coach Craig Bucher still coaching his boys on.
Yeah, you know, and I think with this point differential here against Penn, this is going to put Virginia Tech into the cup round tomorrow.
Ball pops free, Sabanda comes up with it.
Accidental, offside.
Just nothing going right for Penn.
Number 1 and white and 3.
You can see the fitness, the body language on those Penn players.
Time on. Crouch. Bind. Sit.
You like the way Virginia Tech's finishing this game. Costly air there on the knock-on.
That
John
pass,
Colavita was off to the races.
Yeah, one step quicker on the pass by Virginia Tech, though, and you spring a 2-on-1 into the try zone for 5.
Crouch. Bind.
More rugby still coming up tonight, 8 Eastern. Drexel and Temple, the battle for Philadelphia. You'll also see live in Arizona, Navy, and Texas. Penn State, Northeastern, Kutztown, St. Joe's, all coming up tonight on NBCSN as Collegiate Rugby Championships roll on throughout the weekend on our way to a national title. Well, the clock has gone to 0, but the Hokies are still battling. Thomas Haskell, who came on as a substitution, is abandoned now, and now there's no one at home. No free safety or anything to stop Doug Swift, and we'll find out if he can live up to his name. And a final try for the Penn Quakers.
That's a great way to finish a game.
Great work, Sam. Exactly what we need.
And Penn will keep improving. They'll get more resources. This tournament alone can be a powerful enough draw to get more bodies coming out of the dorms and trying rugby for the first time. And sometimes that's what it takes to find a special player, to find some guys who've got some skills and want to get involved. Penn still building. Great kick.
So that'll bring the game to a conclusion. 35-12, Virginia Tech gets the victory over the homestanding Penn Quakers as we send it down on the field, and Marty Snyder.
Andrew Haskell, what an impressive match from you guys. You guys are turning a lot of heads here in Philly.
That's what we practice all this time for.
What about how you feel like the play has been overall?
I think we've possessed the ball a lot better. We've really worked on some of the breakdown. I think we've done that well too.
All right, let's talk to Coach over here. And Craig, you guys talked about starts of games, why they were so important this time around. What did you guys learn last time around in your first CRC?
Yeah, this game's all about possession. Once we get the ball, we can really, move the ball around, and the other team can't score once we've got the ball. And, that first half, we let them possess the ball for a while, and it really struggled. The second half, we got possession, we won our restarts, and we got some points on the board.
In your second CRC, did you guys expect to be this competitive, though?
I don't know. It's a little bit of a surprise. Looking at the bracket, we were a little bit worried, but we came out here. We trained really, really hard for the last 5 months, and these guys have really put in the work, so I'm really excited for them.
With the level of confidence you guys have right now, do you feel like you can compete against the Cows and teams like that?
We played Life earlier this morning, and we played well against them. The score didn't go our way, but it felt like we were in there. The guys got a lot of confidence from that. So tomorrow we'll be out there with them again, and we'll see.
It's funny, I was talking to Alex Magleby guys, and they said the team that's impressed me the most, Alex said Virginia Tech by far. Did not expect this out of them here in this tournament.
The Hokies are rolling here at the CRC, and their fans are loving every minute of it. We'll update the brackets when we return to PPL Park here on NBCSN. You know what they should do? Get a bunch of guys in white t-shirts to sit over there by that U and fill on the top part. Onion. Just saying. Just saying, dude.
Or make an F. Funyun.
Funyun. Brian, you ready?
Hey guys, when I talk to Mags, I talk to him about the general state of U.S. rugby right now and where it's headed, okay? So it's very generic, but it's about U.S. Sevens rugby.
Okay.
All right, and where the team is right now and what they need to do and what his job is right now.
So,
working on finding Dan Payne.
Okay. So are we going to send it to Marty for that report, or is he? Okay. Right.
So I'm leading to that interview, Gibby?
And we're talking through the rugged moment thing.
I'll say, yep.
Okay, cool.
You know, Brian Hightower told me he was way better than Madison Hughes in the day.
Oh, I mean,
he crushed it.
Probably twice as good.
Quantify it like with percentage?
Oh yeah.
Right now, let's take a look at our Dell Rugged Laptop play of the match. No question about it. Madison Hughes with no time on the clock, Brian.
Now twice he's taken this team and put them on their back to eke out a victory. Still undefeated through pool play.
They picked up the tie against Kutztown as they trailed for most of the match. Fans coming out supporting the local squads as we check in with Marty Snyder.
With Alex Magleby, the former coach of the USA Sevens team, but now you're the guy in charge of finding the talent for the USA Seven team. So just give me the overall state of rugby sevens right now in the U.S.
Right. I think you've seen with this tournament and everything else and the Olympics how fast the game is growing in this country. And my job really has been to chase down and is chasing down the talent that's being created in our high schools that are now playing and our universities that are now playing, our crossovers that are coming from track and the NFL who are starting to learn this game. My job is to amalgamate them all and really push for honors at the international stage.
Are the athletes here, and is it really just teaching them the right game or what?
Yeah, I mean, our competitive advantage in this country with sports, we catch balls over our head all the time, and restarts in sevens is very crucial to the American game. Certainly in the short term, we can really dominate the international stage at that level and really control the game. And we have plenty of those athletes at this tournament, in this country playing other sports at this time, in this country playing rugby at the age grade. So it's going to be important for us to teach them a little bit better, provide some clarity about what our technical standards are. And we haven't done a great job of that in the past, but to be fair, we're working really hard to make sure that everybody understands that.
No doubt, a lot of work going into trying to get the USA Sevens team ready for Rio.
All right, thank you very much, Marty. Madison Hughes putting on a show earlier today. We will update all the brackets as we make the turn for Sunday. Plus, we'll talk to Life University Dan Payne when we get back. Billboards, brackets, Marty. No on camera. Look at you. Look at you thinking ahead.
International soccer comes to Philly. See some of the best teams in the world square off before heading to Brazil. Greece versus Nigeria.
The 2014 Collegiate Rugby Championship on NBCSN is brought to you by Subway Restaurants, where winners eat. Back in Philadelphia, and we check in with Marty Snyder.
Well, Todd, Coach Dan Payne coaches one of the toughest teams in the country, Life University, and that's a good intro, isn't it? How do you feel like the tournament's been so far for your kids?
Well, I think we've done well. You know, we've competed very hard defensively, which was one of the objectives we wanted to focus on. Right. And we haven't given up a point yet, and hopefully we can carry that through this third pool game now. I
know you've been watching. You guys have a suite here. You're watching every match you can watch. Who worries you the most and who impresses you the most?
Oh, I think a lot of the teams worry us. I think that runs hand in hand. You know, Cal, obviously Dartmouth, you just saw they're able to come back and win a game. Kutztown's very tough, very strong, and obviously UCLA is looking very good. So, you know, today's about getting through to tomorrow, and then every team's dangerous tomorrow.
As you look at it, what players jump out at you? I know you're also kind of watching the players too, kind of keeping an eye towards that.
Well, Madison Hughes, obviously, for Dartmouth is one of the top players, the top overall players within the tournament. But then you have Seamus Kelly from Cal, Jake Anderson from Cal. You know, you can go down the list of each team has their stars. You know, and now you get to know them a lot, due in part to this event. Year over year, they get the awareness, and the players themselves get the branding and the recognition that helps grow the game.
I asked him if he liked their chances to win the whole thing. He said, oh yeah, absolutely, Todd.
Yeah, no question about it. The Running Eagles look very strong. As we take a look at the brackets, Pool A, Cal certainly the class there. Dartmouth coming back and getting the tie at Kutztown. And Michigan, maybe the biggest surprise, 3-0. Pool E, though, Life, 2-0, and no one's scored on them yet.
Yeah, one more to go, and I think Arizona is not going to be able to stay on the field with them. Life is definitely the class of that pool.
So a lot of rugby still to play, and of course the UCLA Bruins are a perfect 3-0.
Yeah, and they started out a little bit slow, but they're really getting a roll in the last couple of games and figuring out how to score long-distance tries.
So those are your updated brackets. Still a lot of rugby still to go on NBCSN before we crown a champion tomorrow. I want to remind you to join us tonight at 8 Eastern on NBCSN for more action from the 2014 Collegiate Rugby Championship. And tomorrow, our coverage continues at 2 Eastern on NBCSN and then at 4 o'clock Eastern on NBC. Coming up next on NBCSN, stay tuned for Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, the GoPro Hangtown Classic. For Brian Hightower and Marty Snyder, I'm Todd Harris. Thanks for watching us from Philadelphia. Don't let Gary Quinn cut any more deals with like Swedish TV for the Junior Cup or something. He's like, I think I can get these guys another show out of it. GQ's working those phones. We got Drexel Temple coming up next. Drexel Temple.
Thanks, Maddie.
Was he laughing when he said that?
I think so.
I think he was. I heard Maddie go.
Can you hear someone roll their eyes?
I think so. I heard Maddie go, you guys are doing great. Yeah. What a crock. Drexel locker room to the tees. I don't even know where my my CSN schedule is. Do you have a CSN format?
Somewhere. There you go.
Oh, that's important. Yeah, nice. The Dragons. Hey, the good news is no on camera. Oh, I got one. Thanks, brother.
Smell that? It smelled like meatballs.
Serious? I haven't cracked out my Sammy yet. I haven't had time.
Smells like Santino Cua's kitchen.
Oh. Here, it's for you. Give that to me. Hey, Gibby, they left something over here for you. They left some. For your mayonnaise sandwich. Oh, man. The Drexel Dragons trying to turn their tournament around here in Philadelphia. It's a hometown game as they take on the Temple Owls for bragging rights in Philadelphia.
I absolutely love that rugby is a metaphor for everything that I do in life.
You show who you are, you show your character. Speed, athleticism, strength, power.
Pace, the mind games, the hitting, the contact especially.
You can't just be a freak athlete and be really, truly successful. You have to bring the brain along with it.
Biggest tournament that we play in every year. It's also a chance to play against some of the best teams in the country.
It's nice to go against the Ohio State, the Michigans, the Big Ten rivalries.
Bond with my teammates towards a common goal.
Every one of them is giving everything he's got for you, and you've got to keep giving everything you've got for him.
There's an animal excitement to it that you don't capture in many other sports.
I love everything about rugby. It's my ball, I'm going to take it from you. I love stepping a kid, embarrassing him.
You break their will, you break their confidence. Find that spot right in their stomach with your shoulder.
When you stand over them, you hear that, when you knock the wind out of them, it's my favorite.
You know, if you can get a physical advantage on someone, then you're usually doing something right.
Yeah, it's just the best part. I'm getting giddy thinking about it.
Proud to bring you the Collegiate Rugby Championship from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. 20 of the nation's elite college rugby 7 squads have made their way to the city of brotherly love, all in hopes of taking home the national title. As we take a look at the Collegiate Rugby Championship brackets, Pool A been dominated by California, Dartmouth and Kutztown, really the class of Pool B. Michigan in their inaugural appearance is a perfect 3-0. UCLA looks good in Pool D, and in Pool E, Life University, the Running Eagles, also at 2-0. Glad to be joined by Brian Hightower and Marty Snyder as we get set for our next matchup here from PPL Park. It is an absolute battle of Philadelphia as Temple takes on Drexel. And Brian, before we get to this next matchup, let's introduce the folks to the rules of Rugby 7.
Well, it's called Rugby 7 because it's 7 on 7. 7 players per team, 7-minute halves, and the goal is to cross the goal line, score a try. You got to put downward pressure on the ball. You can't throw it forward to get there. 2 points for the conversion. And penalty kicks, you're not going to see very many of them, but if you do, 3 points.
So the Temple Owls clad in the white, the Drexel Dragons in the blue and gold. Now both of these teams have struggled just a little bit, of course, because of the quality of teams here, but you got to talk about Philadelphia, bragging rights. These guys probably see each other around town throughout the year, and this is certainly one that one of these guys would like to get up the snide.
Well, and whoever wins this one's going to go out of this pool play with a victory.
Let's check in with the third member of our broadcast team on the field. It's Marty Snyder.
Yeah, Todd, they call it the tournament within the tournament. John Ciato's the head coach for Temple, and this is a big match, isn't it? Bragging rights are important, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely, especially the proximity. I think we might be 2 miles away from one another. Bragging rights all day long here.
But you guys say we're the real Philly team. Why?
Exactly. We say that because we're actually on Broad Street. They're a couple blocks off.
They're a couple blocks away. But he said, you know what? We represent the grit of Philadelphia. We represent the heart of the city. We're the real Philly team, not these other ones who want to believe they are.
Well, Dr. Bill Cosby would agree with head coach John Ciotto. The Temple Owls looking to get their first victory here at the CRC this year, taking on the Drexel Dragons.
Both teams, they've had some good rugby moments. They've just had a hard time as a team stringing together enough of them to score points. And Drexel's had a hard time keeping people out of their own goal line.
And not the start that Temple was looking for. The ball's got to travel 10 meters, so immediately Drexel takes over. Wow, some big hitting right off the bat. This has got the feel of a game we saw earlier today on NBC, and a knock on there with Ohio State and Michigan. No love lost between those two brothers.
Referee playing an advantage off the knock on. There you go. You know, 2 so far. We've seen a knock on from Drexel and a knock on from Temple, and that's some of the skill level that's missing from these teams, and that's why they're on the bottom of their bracket right now.
It's a lot of rugby to play over the course of basically 2.5 days, and these teams, and we've talked about this before, Brian, in the past, how you feel Sunday afternoon after this tournament comes to an end.
It's tough. It's tough to get up for the second game sometimes in a day, but yeah, you know, long weekend. Friday they had a game. Today they'll have a couple, and then they start the knockout rounds tomorrow. It's a difficult ask.
After the scrum, the Dragons come away with it, and a nice open field tackle. Beautiful job there by number 8, Jared Moore.
Goes on.
So Moore retreats, picks up the ball, and immediately knocks it on.
Yeah, and that's classic mistake there. Just lapse of concentration. Got to take care of the ball first, and Jared Moore, a little bit of a bobble, but that ball touches your hands and goes forward at all, goes to the other team.
So we'll restart the game with a scrum, and we'll let you listen in to the referee commands.
Bind. Set.
Temple playing really aggressive style, but that sometimes creates problems, leaves holes on the corner.
Colin Driscoll turning on the Jets, 1 man to beat, takes it in for the try, and he'll apply the downward pressure right behind the post, so it'll make the conversion quite a bit easier. And the first point's coming for the Drexel Dragons.
They've had a hard time finding the goal line, and it's a real good start for Driscoll. Well, and it all starts from that blitz defense that comes up from Temple. it's a risky move because if they can get the ball to the corner there, you've got a guy who's flown up and left a huge lane on the outside, and that's exactly what happens. Good job by Drexel to exploit that space.
Coach Burt's looking on. 2-point conversion up and good. So the Dragons in good shape early. 4 minutes to play in the first half. They are on top of crosstown rivals Temple, 7-0. Let's look at it one more time. No free safety, no sweeper back there to cover the Owls.
Just nice turn of pace there into an open running lane. A little swivel there to hold the sweeper, freeze him up.
This time the ball does travel the 10 meters required. And the Owls come away with it.
Forward, Olivia.
Just an example there of, it's not that these players don't have skills, it's just the level of their skills. And that pass that came from number 8, Jared Moore, needs to go into the hands of the outside receiver. Instead, just a little too high, too much zip on it. Really slows their game down.
Speed on the outside for the Owls. Brian, what's the toughest thing when you go to camps and clinics and work with you? What's the hardest thing to teach kids with rugby?
I think body position sometimes, especially if you take people who've been playing football, you got to adjust their tackle a little bit. You take the head across the body mentality, and then you have to get the head behind mentality, because in rugby you want the head behind. You don't want your head to go across into people's knees. It just leaves your head exposed.
Scrum.
There's the open field tackling aspect is a lot more difficult, because the price of missing one of those tackles isn't just a couple extra yards. It's usually a try, especially in the game of sevens. On the other side of the ball, if you're attacking the skill set passing, be able to pass from both hands, not just your strong side, but your weak side as well. And then, really at the end of it all, you get a body of experience, and then you have to start making decisions while you're tired, while you're on the run, while you're going as fast as you can, and that's called rugby IQ, and that just takes a long time to develop.
Set. It's fine.
So a little turn of events there. It was into touch, so a line out or a scrum was the decision to Temple. They take the line out. Unfortunately, they do not throw the ball down the center of the tunnel, so it goes to a scrum now, and Drexel takes possession.
Side 9. Through the man, please. They're 10.
Drexel has the lead, 7-0, about 90 seconds to play here in the first half from Philadelphia. And a big hit there.
Away tackler!
Coming from Jared Nesser, Brad Volm laying the hit on Drexel.
Cody Bukowski takes a little rumble. Had a guy on the outside, couldn't get him the ball, but splits the Temple defense, but they turn it over in the tackle, and now it's coming the other way.
Great thing about rugby sevens, you go from offense to defense almost simultaneously. There is a player down on the field, but if he's not in the field of play, they will continue to play on. The ball is kicked into touch.
Player holding his shoulder.
Don't touch it, coach.
For Drexel.
So play will continue on as medics come on and take a look and get you the number and the name of that player as soon as we can find out who it is.
Go ahead.
It'll be a line out, and Drexel will sub in Justin Gable, who will come on.
Time on. You okay? Yeah. Not straight, Captain.
And once again,
scrum.
The Temple Owls can't execute the line out, so the decision comes to Drexel. Either line out or scrum, they'll take a scrum. Injured player for the Dragons is number 5, Jared Nesser, who has come off the field and heading to the locker room.
Lost forward, offside. Drop it, drop it. Back 10, please.
Temple trying to get something on the board, zeros on the clock. As long as they maintain possession, the play goes on. Man on the outside, can he get the corner? Nice open field tackle.
Drexel defense holding up pretty strong.
Away tackler! 6. Hands in there. You're on it there?
Quick restart. Temple.
Not
they
10
get him
advantage.
to the outside. They got a chance. And look at this. The Temple Owls put 5 on the board as Mike Wolstein takes it across the line.
Well, it had to go straight through the middle there from Wolstein because the support for the Owls was so disconnected. They were very wide.
Not 10 advantage.
Wolstein never even takes a look at him out there.
And this will make the 2-point conversion that much easier. Up and good.
Offside guy's position. Your guy picked it up.
So at the end of the first half, we are all knotted up at 7. The battle between the brothers in the city of brotherly love has been a hard-hitting affair here as they battle at PPL Park.
It's great being a local team at the tournament, and just having the whole city behind us is great.
We're rough and tough, and we're ready to play rugby.
And those hitters, we're getting there. We're getting there. Okay? If you see that hitter coming down, just release. Just release. Okay? So.
Hey, if you're going to counter rock, be effective. Don't just lean in there. Let's blow it out.
So, yo, you keep that up too. Okay? You keep that up.
Yo, guys, my phone in the lineout. It's done. Let's go.
All right, guys.
Boys,
here we go.
Are we strong? Let's go.
Nice half, man. Keep it up. Yo, the train, we're not jumping on the train. We're getting caught watching in the breakdowns. Yeah. We talk about that, right guys? You gotta assume if we're not counter-rocking, let's just jump into position and jump on the train, okay? Yeah. And those hitters, we're getting there, okay? If you see that hitter coming down, just release, okay? So.
Hey, if you're going to counter rock, be effective. Don't just lean in there, let's blow it out.
So, yo, you keep that up too, okay? You keep that up.
Yo, guys, my phone in the lineout.
For the other side of things, Mike Birch is the head coach of Drexel, and how about that first half from your guys?
It was exciting. I thought we played really well. A couple of mistakes here and there. We'll fix them in the second half, but it's going to be an exciting one. It'll be fun.
And he's a guy who played at Drexel for 4 years and never left the program. He decided to coach when he was done playing. This would be a huge win if Drexel can pull it off, guys.
Keeping it in the family. And that kick right at the 10-meter mark, so a great job.
Here we go, TU.
Knocked by Drexel after that great kick, and so Temple with the scrum. And that halftime talk by John Scioto from Temple.
You want that side?
Just kind of that classic identification of on the field. Do you put your body in the ruck or do you stay out of the ruck? And that's what John was talking about, that decision making.
Just fine. Away 6. Plus forward, advantage. Advantage is over.
Look at this. Pete Mulville feeling he's got the skates. Nice job of recognition by Drexel.
Don't like the option there by Mulville. The kick is good sometimes, but if it squanders possession, especially if it's kind of aimless like that, not a good idea, and they just gave up the ball to Drexel.
There we go.
For me, Todd, I think Drexel was kind of manhandling Temple a little bit in the contact area in that first half. We'll see if Temple can respond.
Missed tackle there, so it becomes a one-on-one situation. Austin Glenwright able to take it across for the try for Drexel.
Good job by Glenwright. Saw Brad Sawhill coming across for Temple, the number 6, and just tries to test his pace, just kind of measures it and just decides, you know what, I think I got him, and backs himself. Glenwright goes in. Here's the test right here. He kind of takes a look at Sawhill and says, hey man, I'm faster than this dude.
Brad Sawhill saying thank you very much for embarrassing me right there, but Sawhill does have to recognize that there's probably a trail runner and he's got to cover 2 guys basically.
Yeah, and it's, you know, when you're all the way back there on your own at sweeper and you got multiple attackers running at you, it's such a hard position to be in. So hard to make the right decision. We've seen Madison Hughes from Dartmouth, the class of this tournament, really putting on a clinic about how to play sweeper.
Madison Hughes might be the best player at this tournament. The young man from Dartmouth, originally from London, has an opportunity to possibly play in 2016 Olympics for Team USA. So it's 12-7, Drexel on top of Temple. 4:22 now to play in this matchup, and Drexel just takes away the restart kick, trying to stay in bounds, and he's tackled into touch.
Steps out, let it go, Gold, let it go. Line is set, no quick.
Robert Pletcher just getting forced into touch there for Drexel.
The question now is, can Temple execute this line out? 2 times they have not gone right down the tunnel, and this time they get it right.
Yeah, I don't know if it was right. I think the referee just kind of let it go. Some good speed on the corner here.
John Brumell tackled, leaves the ball just short, but is tackled into touch, and the ball will go over to Drexel.
Kind of a wild pass there from Drexel.
Go advantage, lost forward there.
So a knock on for Drexel.
White
Scrum
5.
now with
White 5 sub.
Temple maintaining.
White
we have
5.
substitution. As you hear, Brad Volm being called off for Stephen Ingle, a freshman out of Royersford, Pennsylvania.
And Temple's got to figure out a way to get into the Drexel half.
Crouch. Closer. Bind. Set. Early.
So an early push there gives the ball back to the Owls. And well, I'll tell you, a couple of things you want to comment as you look down on this field. The weather could not be better. Temperatures right around 75 degrees, a slight breeze, not the usual heat and humidity that we feel this time of year when we come to Philadelphia. And the field, Brian, I don't know if I've seen a rugby pitch in this good a shape.
When you stand on it, it's just a classic fast track, but it's nice and soft. And most of the players at this tournament will never play on a field this nice again in their rugby career. It is such a special moment.
Our thanks to the folks, the Philadelphia Union ground crew here at PPL Park in the MLS. Almost 10,000 folks turning out today to watch the second day of the CRC. One more day to go till we crown a national champion in Rugby Sevens. California, the defending champions. Under 2 minutes to play. Drexel on top. See the legs, Brian, starting to get a little heavy here.
Up to your feet.
Yeah, Temple's got a chance. You know, they're only 5 points down, but they got to keep possession. And they're likely only going to get 1 or 2 more cracks at the ball.
Right up the middle. Brian Mortimer stretching the defense, and the ball's given up.
Well, there's an opportunity right there.
Advantage white.
Jared Moore looking for help. Mulville switches fields.
Look at this. Do they have the speed? They've got the numbers on the outside. Nice offload.
Oh, he misses the support. Jared Moore looking for someone to pass to, but a little bit too late with the ball.
I want to remind you, coming up after this game wraps up between Temple and Drexel, we've got a good one out on the practice pitch warming up right now. Life University in Arizona. And never heard of Life University, a small school from Georgia, but boy, can these boys play rugby.
Their director, Dan Payne, doing a great job with that program. Former U.S. Eagle. Life's got a chance to get back into the final where they were last year, and they only got beat by 5 points last year, and that thing was nip and tuck all the way down to the bitter end, Todd. And I think we could see a repeat of that match.
Life University and Cal last year played in the championship, and it was the Cal Bears who took home the title. Here it's Drexel and Temple. Boy, that looked like a knock on there.
Sure was, and really Temple Owls last real good chance with the ball.
We're gonna have a scrum.
Temple, you know, classic 20 Todd.
20 seconds, here we are.
Opportunity late in the game. This is where composure comes in.
Bind. Set.
Drexel with zeros on the clock. Temple stealing it back.
Away.
Well, Drexel somehow manages to give him one more chance, and out on the corner, number 11, that's John Brummel.
Advantage?
How about this? Penalty advantage.
You tackle, you got back up. It's high tackle here. Back
Penalty
10.
cannot end a game, and so Temple is going to have one more chance.
That's your mark, no time left.
So no time on the clock, so getting the ball in a better position possibly for a conversion.
Lost forward.
Oh, but lost forward in the tackle, and heartbreak for Temple. Drexel, the champion of the city of Philadelphia this year.
So the Dragons hold off a very strong push at the end by the Temple Owls, but unfortunately Temple unable to capitalize. Drexel gets the victory, 12-7. Coming up next, the Arizona Wildcats playing with a very heavy heart after legendary Arizona head coach Dave Sitton passed away this past fall.
Coach is someone you can't replace. He was a great guy. He's a friend. He was a mentor.
The man with the plan in Tucson. He taught you how to do things right, and he was just a great person all around.
Hey, we have a bigger goal now. We have something that we're playing for.
To be able to follow in Dave Sitton's footsteps is a huge task. Just hoping to make everyone proud and be the best coach I can be.
After serving 35 years at the program's helm, our good friend and colleague, Arizona coach Dave Sitton, passed away last fall. Sean Duffy took the job in January, and we'll have more after this. Wow, Maryland's moving on.
Uh-uh.
No. Dude, they're 2-1.
Doesn't matter.
What are you talking about?
There's better 2-1 teams.
Oh, it's all points then. So
Point
not top
differential.
2 teams. The 2014 Collegiate Rugby Championship on NBCSN is brought to you by Subway Restaurants. Rich Creamy Avocado is back at Subway. Back at PPL Park on a picture-perfect day here on the outskirts of Philadelphia. It's the CRC Collegiate Rugby Championship. Life University out of Georgia at 2-0, taking on Arizona 1-1, and normally a perennial powerhouse in collegiate rugby. Arizona falling on hard times, coming out of the gate and losing a tough one to Virginia Tech right off the bat.
Well, the last couple of years we've seen Peter Tiberio, one of the stars of the tournament, and then Brett Thompson last year. Both of those guys on the U.S. Sevens team. And they don't have that star power, that firepower that they've had in the last couple of years, and not really playing very good team defense as well. Some struggles and some head scratching going on at the Wildcats.
Right off the bat, though, Arizona comes out with a nice piece of running for David Spencer, the senior from Tucson, first year playing rugby sevens.
And his little brother Anthony hobbling around on crutches from day one yesterday.
So a turnover there as Life momentarily took over the ball. We check in on the sideline and Marty Snyder.
With the veteran coach Salty Thompson, who's taken over the sevens team. What have the boys been missing in this tournament so far, Salty?
I think preparation, really. They did very well at Division I AA level this year. So the good news for them in 15s was a successful season. Second in the nation. The bad news was we were rushed for time. We had no real game preparation coming in, and we had to limit our contact skills, which was a weakness in game one.
That's one of the tough things, guys, is that the 15s, as you mentioned several times today, Todd, was just a few weeks ago. Right. They really concentrated on that a little bit more than they did sevens this year, paying the price this weekend.
Yeah, the Varsity Cup taking place at Rio Tinto Stadium in Salt Lake. You saw it on NBCSN. BYU taking down Cal for the national title there in 15s.
Good with that, Andrew. Yeah.
We talked about our friend and colleague Dave Sitton, who used to work TV as the head man at Arizona for so long, and when you think of an ambassador for rugby sevens, Coach really comes to mind.
Yeah, it's just such an icon for this program.
Backwards.
You know, one of the first guys, too, to break the seal on the broadcast booth for rugby in the United States, and taught me a lot, and real generous with his time, and classic smile that you just always had for everybody, a joke and a laugh with him.
Coach Sitton was an absolute class act and left us far too soon, and he certainly will be missed here in the broadcast booth and at the CRC. Meanwhile, Life is off and running, and big number 3, Jake Anderson, who goes 6'5", 235, just doesn't have the horsepower to punch it across the line, but it takes 2 Wildcats to bring him down.
Good job on defense coming back for Arizona, but too many
spread
running Eagles.
And the first try goes to Life University. Well set up, and Joe Cowley, young man out of Charlotte, North Carolina, able to get Life on the board with 5.
Release now.
Great job on the finish, finally. Big rumble by Jake Anderson. 2 Jake Andersons in this tournament that are turning heads. One for Cal, one for Life. Potentially having a Jake versus Jake.
Tough angle for Cowley. This one's going to come up short and wide right. Ball comes straight out from where the downward pressure was applied on the try, so no more 2 points there for Life on that one. They still take the 5-0 lead as we go under 3:50 to play here in half number 1. There you see the pool so far. Pool lead, Life on top, looking to go 3-0. Virginia Tech, maybe the biggest surprise at 2-1, and they really gave Life a handful in their matchup earlier.
They did. They played some good rugby, and it looks like they're going to move on to the Cup based on point differential. So Virginia Tech last year competing for the bowl, this year going to be competing for the Cup. No matter what happens for those Hokies, it's a huge step up. We heard Coach Salty Thompson talking about the time they had together. Well, you know, Life had the same circumstance. They played the 15 season long into the spring and had about the same amount of time. And really, I think to me it goes back to the bodies, the experience. A lot of these guys on the Life team have had some sevens experience. We've seen Joe Cowley before, big Paris Hollis wearing the number 1 shirt. Jake McFadden on the outside.
Life just picking their way through that Arizona defense. They've got numbers once again on the outside, and the ball ends up with Joe Cowley. He's going to try to kick this one on, but he's got a man right next to him.
then he scores it. That's a beautiful piece of work off the foot of Joe Cowley. What a great skill.
Was right there.
You know, he's running alongside Trevor Lowy. He kind of has to size him up speed-wise. He doesn't think he can beat him. Lays down a perfect kick. Gets in front of him. And, man, that's a great try by Joe Cowley. And there's Dan Payne, the director of this Life University rugby program. Big smile from him.
So it's 10-0, Life on top. 2-point conversion again, no good as it's pushed to the right. Joe Cowley, 6'2", 195. Not normally the guy that's going to break away from 25, 30 meters out and take it in, but watch this. In support. I wouldn't say
and
gone.
Again, just you know, a lot of people try to do this. They squirt the ball out of bounds or they kick it too far, and just the perfect weight on that kick, and that is a really difficult skill.
On the restart, we check in on the field with Marty Snyder.
Well, you guys have mentioned that Life made it to the finals last year, losing to Cal, and honestly, Dan Payne told me that's what's woken us up and motivated us for the last 364 days is to get back to that match. He said the one thing we changed this year in sevens was a much greater focus on defense. He said, I felt like that's where we lost it last year against Cal. We did not play good defense. If we can play the defense we know we can play and use the size to our advantage, we can win this tournament for the first time.
Yeah, no question about it. Life comes back loaded as usual. Very explosive position players, and here Arizona, which is usually a classic matchup here at the CRC, it is all Life 10-0 with under 40 seconds now to play here in the first half.
Life's got great team speed. That looked like a forward pass.
It did.
That's unfortunate. You get Paris Hollis, #1 for Life, running downhill. He's a freight train, hard to stop him, but he receives a ball that had gone forward, and it'll be a scrum to Arizona.
Joe Cowley didn't like the call, but it was clearly a forward pass, a definite no-no in rugby.
One of the speedsters out there for Life University, Harley Davidson. He's wearing the #8 jersey. When he gets some open field in front of him, he is very dangerous. One of the best finishers on this team, and it's a team built with a lot of great finishers.
Forward pass.
And Arizona gives it right back on the forward pass, and that'll bring us to the end of half #1. The Running Eagles of Life University have the lead on Arizona 10-0. We'll have the second half when we return.
Great job on the restart, right? Step up on the drop.
Personnel that superseded international boundaries.
Life, that's the small school no one really knows about. I don't mind, going out there with a little chip on our shoulder.
They're incredibly physical. They have a lot of size, a lot of great skilled players.
We treat rugby as our primary sport. They bring a level of physicality and commitment to sevens.
We always talk about shaking hands and kissing babies and doing whatever we can whenever we get the opportunity to build awareness.
Marietta?
Yep.
Just outside of Hotlanta. I heard Marty Snyder has an honorary doctorate from Life University. That's what I've heard. I'm just saying.
Thought that was Hard Knocks, you.
As an announcer and coach, Dave took every opportunity to promote and educate Americans on the game he loved so much. Crouch, touch, pause, engage. It's all of those relationships and touches with people that matter to you that make a 34-year coaching career so much fun and so much, such an important part of my life.
I'm having some crisp and
So much
nasties.
better.
I mean, crisp and tasty. Trace has not put on deodorant. Stinking the place up. You weren't here yesterday, dude. It was...
Life. That's the small school no one really knows about.
I don't mind, going out there with a little chip on our shoulder.
They're incredibly physical. They have a lot of size, a lot of great skilled players.
We treat rugby as our primary sport.
They bring a level of physicality and commitment to sevens.
We always talk about shaking hands and kissing babies and doing whatever we can whenever we get the opportunity to build awareness.
Yeah. Hey, look, great stuff around the breakdown though. Great job. Restarts are spot on. We got 7-minute sprint. It's going to take 12 guys to finish this out, right? Let's get a break. Let's get ready to play. Come on.
10 seconds. Ready, 10 seconds, ready, good.
Life University may be small, little school out of Marietta, Georgia. Total enrollment 836. That's 836 undergraduate students, but I'll tell you what, they bring some serious talent to the rugby sevens field.
There goes Davidson.
Wow. Harley Davidson.
Ball only, guys. Knock on white.
Oh, great try.
Just a great job of sharing the ball, huh, Brian?
Yeah, McFadden on the finish there, but gotta love how Harley Davidson got involved twice on that same play. Just torched the Arizona defense around the corner, lays a perfect kick. Joe Cowley comes up and does a good job of not knocking that ball forward. Davidson on the recollect and McFadden on the support line. That's how you play sevens rugby right there. Yeah, that's 835.
Maybe 32 kids left back in Marietta. So you've got Harley Davidson. I said that right. Harley Davidson out of Boise, Idaho, and Jake McFadden out of Tampa, Florida. They go to school in Marietta, Georgia, and they just put up another 5, so it's 15-0. Life on top of Arizona as we check in on the field once again. Look at this one more time. It's running in support, Brian. You talk about that all the time.
Yeah, a lot of the teams that aren't advancing into tomorrow's cup round, it's because somebody does something great on their team, but there's not support behind them. Because just because a guy's out in front with the ball doesn't mean he's going to stay out front and score a try.
Knock on red, scrum.
So a restart and a scrum goes to Arizona. We check in with Marty.
Well, Todd, you've seen the crowd that has made the trip from Marietta, Georgia, and they are definitely fired up. They have their own little section over there cheering Life on. I asked Dan Payne about that. He said, listen, as you heard him say earlier, we're it at Life. There is no football program. There's no basketball program. It is rugby, and that is what everyone cares about. If we have to shake hands, kiss babies, we'll do whatever, because our job, yes, is to come out here and win rugby matches, but we're also out here to spread the word about Life University. It's a chiropractic school, and he said, that's our job. Yes, we want to win rugby matches, but we also want people to know about Life University, and they bring the people, don't they? No doubt about that, Todd.
No question about it. They use rugby to be ambassadors for the school, and as I look over at that student section, as Arizona has a nice break here with number 6, Jake Havey getting broken away. That section over there reminds me of when we see Marty out in Las Vegas at the Kenya World Sevens, doesn't it? I mean, they're dancing, all that, and Marty just fits right in there.
Brought the percussion.
Yeah.
They got their own mascot over there.
The Running Eagles from Marietta, Georgia. Definitely a force here.
They always have the most hideous
Hey, Todd, if you want, I'll go get in that crowd tomorrow. I don't know if I'll wear the hideous uniform, but I'll get in that crowd tomorrow.
You know what? I would say normally yes, but we need Marty tomorrow. So if we send him over there today, we might not get him back for tomorrow.
Todd, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know if Life's color combinations are really going to catch on around the country. I don't know if the kids are really going to want that jersey to walk around like a USC or a Michigan or maybe even a UCLA powder blue, but
well, if they lift the cup tomorrow afternoon, then might be some more T-shirts.
Release white.
This just does not look like the Arizona we've seen over the last couple of years. And you talked about not having one or two superstars, but as Marty reported, they put a lot of their focus on the 15s.
Yeah, they did, and they did well this year. And it's a hard thing for the director to come in. Sean Duffy's got to come in and replace Jake Anderson over for another try for Life.
Paris Hollis has the sense as he's getting tackled to the ground to dump it off to Jake Anderson, who's just on the spot. So a young man from Charlotte gets tackled, dumps it off to a kid from Missoula, Montana. and they're all playing in Georgia.
Great job by McFadden to not throw that pass. That's part of that rugby IQ. Do I give it? Do I keep it? McFadden wisely keeps it, keeps the ball rolling. As I was saying before, you know, Sean Duffy's coming in. He's got some big shoes to fill. He's taking over for Dave Sitton. That guy's, you know, one of the most well-known college rugby coaches of all time. He's, you know, right up there as far as his exposure, right up there with Jack Clark. Maybe not the success that Clark's had, but he's been around the game forever. You know, plus he's got to do some building. He said that they're getting a lot of support though from the university. They've reached what they call an elevated club status. There's possibly some help with getting some players in admission-wise at Arizona and using the facilities, the weight room for the varsity sports teams, and it'll grow. A bright future at Arizona, and just not their tournament this week.
Easy, guys.
Substitutions coming now for Life. They've got a 20-0 lead with about 2 minutes to play in this one. Number 4, Hiko Malu, the freshman from Sacramento, comes on board, as does Mikey Sanders, the junior from Macon, Georgia.
Yeah, Malu's got a great body for rugby. I mean, just a tall, rangy, but he's got a lot of speed, very strong in the tackle area. And he hasn't played a lot of minutes for Life this weekend, but if he gets the ball in his hand,